Welcome back to the WatchTower Film Podcast, the film review podcast on the Towercast Network by Spooky Files for Spooky Files, because we're back.
Spoopy month.
That's our editor and our DP.
No introductions for them. They don't get it this time.
Because it's so scary.
We're kicking off our Halloween
Spoopy
picks
month.
this month. Yeah, spooky
Why is it
month.
so dark in here?
It's moody. Ooh.
It's the
So
mood.
thank you to our producer Austin.
We set the sexual tension. No. No. Oops.
Let's turn you on. Okay. We got some cool decorations and the mood lighting set by Mr. Lala and Mr. Castro.
Thanks,
Just something,
Austin.
Who
I just
doesn't
did the
like
coffee.
October,
Something
man?
great.
Halloween.
Austin got him. I just made coffee.
We're in the mood. We're in the spooky mood.
Are we in the mood for love?
Spooky mood for love.
We're always in the mood for love.
We're back. We're kicking off our Halloween picks this month. It's always a special month. I feel like in this podcast, the themed month started here. Like the theme month started with the Halloween. Like we're like,
Absolutely.
Halloween, we got to pick some themed, And then we ended up just doing like Christmas and other themed months. And now next year, genuinely every month has a theme. So pretty cool.
When are we doing Thanksgiving?
I've been petitioning. I've talked to the people. They're ready.
For what?
For more
For
Thanksgiving.
poltergeist?
Yeah.
Name one Thanksgiving
You got your
film.
ear to the public.
Thanksgiving.
For Poltergeist?
Thanksgiving
Poltergeist?
Revenge. That's
Poultry.
a chicken.
Oh, I want to see that one actually.
Poultrygeist. Some heathens.
All right, fine. We'll do that one bear episode.
I don't know.
Bear.
What? Yeah, you're
Right,
right.
Carlos, we'll do the one bear episode.
Oh
on Thanksgiving.
gosh, man, that shit just won an Emmy, man. Multiple Emmys actually.
Oh, really?
Oh, wait.
Terrific fucking.
The bear?
scene.
You know what
It's
has
a fucking
like
episode.
the undertones of Thanksgiving is Sasquatch Sunset. Like, it just feels.
Austin.
Sasquatch fucking in the,
All right,
in the
his
forest.
muted. Let's get this going.
You're
We're
welcome.
here to talk about a great set of films this month, so stick around. We're going to be, please make sure to like and subscribe,
Yes.
comment and share, and let people know what
Do
we're
it
up
now.
to.
Just right now.
It's going to be great.
Here, we'll give them 2 seconds so they can do it.
Yeah.
Like and
All right,
subscribe.
thank you.
Good people right here.
Thank you for clicking on that bell for notifications. You'll see an episode from us every Monday, more or less.
Yes.
If you didn't catch our Western month, go check that out. That was pretty fun. But now we're in Halloween month, so
Time to get Western.
we got a great set of films, which I'll talk about a little more at the end of the episode. But this episode is my pick, and I wanted to kick off with this film because I feel like among cinephiles, it gets a ton of love. It gets a ton of love. A controversial background behind a lot of it, but and we'll get there
Controversial?
because it's important to talk about it. I don't see why not. But at the same time, amongst just kind of general horror fans or just general audience members, they probably never heard of it or don't really care for it or I've had comments from like Eric, our resident horror guy. He's like, yeah, that's all right. It's like
What?
not scary. It's fine.
See,
But it is a cult classic because I've gone to like last year I went to HorrorCon.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And at HorrorCon, I never realized it, but a lot of people were showing off this necklace thing, and they were like, "Oh, it's Rosemary's Baby," and I was like,
that little-
"I've never seen it. I guess it's like a thing." And then I didn't realize, like, "Oh no, it's
Yeah.
like a big plot device." But we're
So
talking
you
about
named it. We're talking about Roman Polanski's 1968
Roman Polanski.
Rosemary's Baby, starring Mia Farrow and John Cassavetes, great John Cassavetes, and the great Mia Farrow. She's phenomenal, especially in this. One of the biggest Oscar snubs in cinema history, according to most cinephiles. And Ruth Gordon, if you like
Harold and Maude.
Ruth
Harold
Gordon.
and Maude.
This film actually revamped her career, which is great.
She won an Oscar for it.
She won an Oscar? Well
Ruth
deserved.
Gordon won an Oscar for this, and not Mia Farrow. That's a shame.
Nah, I mean,
What do you mean, nah? That's a
no, I
shame.
mean, I love Mia.
Exactly. It's a shame.
But I mean, really, what, I mean, compared to...
Compared to Ruth Gordon? Come on. She wasn't acting like a strange old woman. She was just a strange old woman. Like, there was
No, I
no...
feel like-
she was a very pitiable part of the story.
Of course she was. But
Because
not
Ash-
because of her acting, because of her actions
No.
as a character.
No, her acting too.
Oh,
Her
she wasn't
subtlety.
deceitful.
Yeah,
Yes.
well,
No, she wasn't. Like they
Her
called out to
husband
her
was
like
more.
this.
Her husband was-
Yeah, her husband. Absolutely, her husband
but
was
that's
more.
the eerie part where it's like, you don't, these people put on such a fake smile that...
You know what I
I
think it
highly
is?
disagree. I think her character, as much as an important plot device she was to like feed her the shit and the drink and the whatever, I didn't.
I'll give you this. Mia Farrow was... Her eyes did a lot of the talking.
Absolutely, her eyes always do.
But...
No, man, I don't think
Can
Ruth Gordon deserved it over
Can
Mia.
I just say that I think that Mia's performance at the very end of the movie kind of fell off?
Thank you, because at the beginning you could tell, like,
Like at the beginning, there's so much tension, but then later on,
she's got this glow.
The last shot of the film. Jeez, no, what? No.
No, towards the end, no. That's what I'm saying.
Well, no, he's saying it fell off. You're saying it's good. So which one is it?
No, the beginning was good. Towards the end, it was just kind of like, me.
I didn't like the
know.
oh god scene at the very end.
Oh, come on.
You killed him, Smalls.
I didn't like that. I thought
Forget the oh God part. The part where she sees the baby. The part where she's...
Yeah, that's a classic. Yeah, I like that.
The swaying of the baby at the very end.
I
and
know
where
that
her
they didn't even show the
demeanor
baby.
turns. I mean, oh, man.
That's the
and they
beauty
were
of
going
it.
to. There's a whole thing behind it. I want to introduce my fellow co-host, Mr. Eric John Castro.
Eric John Castro.
Giving us acting perspective.
what?
Yeah, and giving you my thoughts on Rosemary's Baby's
Represent.
first watch of mine.
Yeah, first time, long time. Mr. Austin Taylor Young, make sure we're sounding good on the ones and twos back there.
Ooh.
I have 4 channels.
And this is actually one of his favorite films.
Horror films.
Favorite horror films.
Really?
Sure.
Nice.
I'd argue that it's one of your favorite films too. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe like top 40, 50.
Oh gosh, never mind. Mr. Michael Lowell, first time, long
37.
time.
First time, long time.
Giving us the cinematography perspective.
Oh yeah, what's really scary is my shower schedule. Ooh.
You say shower schedule?
Yeah.
When was the last time you showered?
No.
That's where that stench is coming from.
Oh god. No,
It wasn't the root.
It
What was
that.
it? What is it?
The root.
Tannis root.
Yeah,
Tannis.
tennis root.
It's mold.
I'm your humble film servant, Carlos de la Torre, offering a writing directing perspective on something I think is it holds an interesting place in cinematic history because I think it's very cinematic. I think Roman Polanski, if he hadn't fucked up his career, would have been known as one of the greats. And he is, regardless. It's a weird kind of...
It's just a
I've heard
conversation.
his name, but I never heard him in the greats.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
it's a
I don't know.
conversation
I
of
don't know.
art from the artist. You
Yeah,
know, like if you're
exactly.
able to
Exactly.
separate,
I like that.
I think you'll be able to like see a lot of the merit that's there. And I mean, you know what? I will say
Let me
this.
just put it to you this way, because I know how much performance pieces we'll get to. He directed The Pianist, okay?
He
Damn,
directed.
I was thinking like he was like old, like he was gone a long time.
No,
Like,
man.
yeah,
He
did the
just
piano.
he just released a film in 2024.
Adrian Brody?
Yeah, but a foreign film. But he directed The Pianist, and there was a whole campaign against him. He didn't. He got kicked out of the academy and shit.
Quick. I don't know what happened. Give us a little insight into
I
that.
guess we can start there. Just get over it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
before we really get into it.
Roman Polanski, again, a big director coming out of the 60s and 70s, especially foreign cinema.
Did he have a kink or something or what?
He's
Obsession.
Polish, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Also, he's a Polish director.
Sounds Polish. Polanski, Polish,
I think he's Polish.
I'm a simple guy, bro.
Is this right? Am I right? Am I wrong? Might be wrong.
Yeah, Poland, France.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he lives in Poland. He lives in France. I'll get to why
God.
right now. Yeah, he's from Poland. Okay, he's Polish.
I was
Polish
reading.
filmmaker got big in foreign cinema in the 60s.
Right.
Remember, I always talk about this, and this is important.
Mm-hmm.
Foreign cinema really hit a big stride, especially French New Wave. This is where the French New Wave was born. And that's when American cinema was like, oh, shit, they're doing cool shit. Filmmakers in America go to the studios and say, hey, those Frenchies are doing cool shit. You should let us do cool shit, and you won't go bankrupt. And the studios listened, and then you get the Coppolas and the Scorseses and the Spielbergs doing
Nice.
cool shit.
Little
It
balloon.
comes from these guys. It comes from Polanski's generation of filmmakers. So then America starts to kind of like we talked about Sayaji Ray. They're like, okay, he's doing good over there. He's making money. Let's bring him to America and make some money with him.
Right.
They talk to Polanski, and they're like, yo, come do some cool shit over here. We'll pay you lots of money, and you'll be in Hollywood. The producer holds a lot of credit here. Robert Evans. Robert Evans is most famously known for producing The Godfather. If you've seen The Offer, the series, he's the main dude pretty much, other than Rudy.
Scott Mosley?
Rudy, I forgot his first name. But Bob Evans was a legend, man. He produced Rosemary's Baby, he produced The Godfather, he's produced so many fucking great films. Bob Evans. And so Bob Evans talks to Roman Polanski. He's like, hey, I want you to direct this cool race car film. Just come to America. Let me talk to you about it. He always had the agenda to slip him Rosemary's Baby.
Okay.
They'd be perfect for it. So he kind of does the bait and switch, starts getting into the Rosemary's Baby, because Rosemary's Baby is based on a book, okay? It's based on a novel by Len something, Ian or Len something. And the novel was kind of a big hit. The other producer, who's
We
the
fired
author of
the
the
other
book?
intern. We had
IR
an
11.
intern.
IR 11. Scroll down just a touch more. William Castle. William Castle is the other producer. Let's put it this way. Bob Evans was, at one point ended up running Paramount.
Bob Evans.
Bob Evans. He was kind of the distributor guy, like money guy. Let's put this shit behind it. Walter Castle mortgaged his house to buy the rights of the book to make this shit. And he's kind of a B horror director, and he's like, I'm just going to make it. And Paramount was like, no, we'll let you produce because you make shitty films, but we'll give it to this guy, and Roman Polanski will direct. Roman Polanski comes to the States, he gets on the shit, he's directing. Rosemary's Baby becomes a massive hit. Massive, massive hit. 1968. 1969, the Manson murders happen. Roman Polanski was married to Sharon Tate.
Oh.
That was his wife. He was off prepping his next film in London.
And
Sharon
Once
Tate
Upon a
got
Time.
murdered along with his baby.
Right.
So, dark shit. And people, like, the producers constantly say that there's a Rosemary's Baby's curse that just followed everybody. Because Polanski had a lot of death in his life, including fucking Sharon Tate, one of the most famous murders ever. So, fast forward 7 years, he becomes friends with Jack Nicholson because he also directed Chinatown, right? Jack Nicholson goes on vacation in Colorado and says, here's my house. Fuck around, have fun, I don't care, you can enjoy. He brings a woman, a girl rather, a 13-year-old girl. Fucks around. To my knowledge, I didn't read up on a ton of it, but when I used to read up on it, when I got like into the rabbit hole of the Polanski kind of case, they found naked pictures of this 13-year-old girl.
God,
right?
come on, bro.
And there was a whole, like, he raped her, la da 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 da, right? Goes to court, drugged and raped her, this whole thing. I don't even know if I can say that on the internet now, but whatever.
Shit.
He takes a plea deal. And the judge says, fuck it. Well, we won't give you jail time as long as you plead guilty. Just pay a fine. We'll be fine. He's like, all right, cool. Then he starts getting rumors that the judge is just fucking around. He's going to give him 50 years of jail time. So it's like, fuck this.
He bounced.
Leaves to France. Never comes back to the States. Interpol puts out a red alert and says, arrest this motherfucker at all costs.
He still want it, yeah.
And he's been arrested in like Switzerland, and they've tried to get him, and I think the most they've ever been able to keep him is 2 months in jail. So he just continued making films out of France and Switzerland and Poland because he can't get arrested there. What's the term? Where countries will give up another fugitive?
Yeah, I don't think France has extradition.
Extradition. There's no extradition, right? So, yeah, in a nutshell, that's what happened to Roman Polanski. The problem is, a lot of people came to his aid. Hollywood people came to his aid. And the controversy starts becoming this. More and more women, as in these cases do, started accusing him of sexual assault.
Coming out, yeah.
Coming out, whatever. He settles with a ton of them. You know? And then the original 13-year-old girl, her name escapes me right now,
Comes out
and says, I didn't know it was illegal. This was the 70s, 60s. I didn't know it was illegal. I had a good time. I don't blame him for anything. I blame the media for my life being destroyed.
I could see her point, but he's still the older guy.
He should know better.
Exactly.
I understand. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying... Yeah. She ends up coming out and supporting a documentary, like proving, quote unquote, his innocence and saying, hey, I have a family. My psyche, my life didn't get fucked up because of him. If that was the story I would have had the rest of my life, I would have been fine with that.
It's the media.
We had a good time. I didn't, to a point where I don't even think she's the one that accused him. I think it might have been her parents or something. Something happened where she wasn't the one that accused him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think the pictures, right? Or maybe I'm thinking of Woody Allen with the pictures.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like Woody Allen.
Maybe the pictures is Woody Allen. But regardless, like, she's like, he's my friend. Like, we're cool. Like, I don't know why you guys fucking hate him. I love him. Like, he's a cool dude.
Like at least he didn't molest her.
No. And he admits to his faults, by the way. Like, again, I'm not defending him. I'm just restating what he said. He basically said, like, hey, she's my victim. She is my victim. She is a victim. But she's also a victim of the media. And she admits to that. She admits to more being a victim of the media. To the point where, like, I think as recent as 2008 and 2012, they made 2 separate documentaries on Polanski and the court cases. I'm not. Nobody says he's innocent. He fucked up. He fucked a lot of underage girls by the sounds of it. Okay, I'm not saying that he didn't.
Right.
What I'm saying is that the ones that haven't kind of let it go in that sense really came out of the woodwork after this first 13-year-old girl, and the first 13-year-old girl was like, I don't give a shit. Like, I didn't sue him. I didn't press charges because I had a good time at a Hollywood party. That's all I wanted to do. Like, I'm not, gonna defend him. Or I'm going to defend him because he's a friend. He's been good to me. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So, long story short, Roman Polanski's one of these controversial names, naturally, because he done fucked up. He did some shit.
Yeah.
And his name is just tossed around in a kind of a lot of the mud because the whole Sharon Tate thing, the types of movies that he makes. I mean, Rosemary's Baby is not a G-rated film. It's got some shit to it. And then obviously these allegations.
I just need to know. I'm pretty sure a lot of the audience didn't know.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to harp on that. I want to talk about the film and his merits as a director. But
that's a good little background towards this.
Yeah, it's important to note this because all of this was resurrected during the Me Too cases, right? And basically, his name was picked back up because of this mess, right? Like, there's a history in Hollywood because of this, and right. But 2003 rolls around. This was 2018, right? Me Too. 2003 rolls around. He's up for fucking best foreign film for The Pianist. Great performances, great film. Everybody loves it. Everybody thinks it's the best film of the year. And then Harvey Weinstein is up against him at the Oscars. So he says, this fucking dude has a history of raping little girls. Fuck him because... Exactly. So, because he wanted to win the Oscar over Polanski. So again, it becomes this weird feudal politic game, and then you end up discovering 20 years later that Harvey Weinstein was fucking worse. Worse. So just whatever, call it a interesting debate. But I agree with Michael. I hate calling you Michael. I agree with this one, or De La or whatever you like. Yeah, I don't like calling him Michael. Man. I agree that you separate the art from the artist, and
it becomes. I'll say this, it becomes a conversation because I think when we, and I'll say for the podcast, when we talk about movies and we're talking about cinema and everything, we're judging a film for its sole merit as a piece of art, And but I'm just talking about this,
even if the devil himself fucking painted it.
I mean, even if she gave birth to the devil, we're still going to talk about it. No, but That's what it is. We're judging these single pieces of art, and I will say for the sake of absorbing the merit in the different departments and how it all came together, where people source their inspiration from, where people where their personal lives take into effect. Yeah, it's a different story because I don't want to say outright that I would support the man who. Yeah, I don't want to support the man's actions. I don't want to support what he's done. I don't want to support anybody who does this. But I'm going to, for the sake of the conversation, say we can't just deny that this doesn't exist. We can't just say that Rosemary Baby never happened. Every film he's made never happened.
His films were also very influential for cinema. Yeah. They shifted cinema forward, whether we like it or not, whether we like him or not.
Yeah, and it's not, and I don't think when it's shifting the medium forward, it's not ignored. It's not shifting it because
it just feels wrong.
No, I'm not saying that's where the separation.
I know what you're saying.
But it's not shifting it forward because they're talking to him and saying, "Hey, what should we do next?" It's shifting it forward because the films as standalone piece of art have some merit.
By the way, he just got a new case against him in 2024, and he's standing trial in 2025. This guy may very well be a piece of shit, but I don't know. But you can't deny that the man is a good filmmaker, great filmmaker. You just can't. You just can't.
More than anything, I think you just can't deny that the films are pieces of cinema.
Absolutely. Harvey Weinstein produced my favorite film of all time. It's not going to stop being my favorite film of all time.
The B movie?
Yeah, the B movie. No, Good Will Hunting.
Oh, yeah.
This is the fucking Castro take. That's how I feel with Michael Vick.
Give Michael Vick a chance.
Hey, Vic did his time.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go back to film.
That's what, by the way,
I feel like.
That's what this girl says, this woman now, right? She has a family and shit. She's like, hey, Roman did his time and then some. Like, he's been ostracized from the film community. He got kicked out of the academy. he served the shit. You know, like,
But who's to say?
well, who's to say? Well, she's to say.
Yeah,
she's
but
the
she's-
victim.
but then
she's
the
not,
other victims.
She's not every victim.
Well, you're right.
Exactly.
You're right. But
It's hard.
who's to say?
It's really
Who's to
hard.
say?
I just think you should get kicked out of the academy for slapping somebody else, even if it's life.
He didn't get kicked out. He got fucking 10 years of probation. He didn't get kicked out.
Oh, I have a
10 years? Or?
Yeah. Yes, he got a slap on the wrist. He did not get kicked out.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
I have something I want to add, but off camera.
Okay.
Nah, we'll
Well,
cut
look, Roman Polanski, again,
Yeah.
I just named you 3 of the most influential films in cinematic history. Rosemary's Baby, Chinatown,
Chinatown.
and
The Godfather.
no.
Pianist.
The Pianist.
Ford accepted his Oscar for him, right? Harrison Ford.
Really?
For
Pianist?
No. It would have been
Brody.
Adrian.
It would have been
Yeah.
Brody. I think no. Adrian
It would have
Brody.
been Adrian.
I feel like it would have been Adrian Brody.
No, sometimes the people
I
presenting
remember he
it-
cried. He was
Oh,
talking
you might
about
be
living in his car when he accepted.
Oh,
the,
okay, yeah. Presenter Harrison Ford. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Harrison Ford doesn't give a fuck if it's a good movie.
That
He
fool's
likes
lost
it.
half the time.
So, anyways, yeah, just to give you a little bit of background on the director, if this is triggering in any
I needed
way,
that.
we really apologize. And if you want to turn off this podcast because of it, so be it. We're not trying to cover the fact that this film was directed by Roman Polanski.
But if you're a cool person, just stick around.
Yeah.
No. We can't phrase it that way.
No. But if you want to hear about Rosemary's Baby, stick around.
Yeah.
Rosemary's Baby is, for me, this film I revisit kind of every Halloween season. Even if I don't watch the whole thing, even if I just watch certain excerpts from it, because it is heavy. It isn't something I'd like to rewatch every year. Even it's interesting, but
I thought it was gonna be in the realms of like Exorcist or something. I was
mean,
like,
it kind of is. But I also like, I guess, because I come from a Christian background, right? Like, it holds weight for me in what I was raised to be the worst of the worst situations, right? I mean, genuinely, I grew up in a very Pentecostal Christian background that would have demonic possessions and exorcisms, and I saw that shit firsthand. So this kind of stuff always kind of strikes a chord, and I like when it strikes a chord in an accurate way, even when it uses like lore, because it's a stigma now. Like, there's horror films have taken, like The Conjuring and, you know, all the Paranormal Activity. They've cheapened the art form, I think, in a sense. And I talk to Eric about that all the time, because for me the 2010s are the worst era in horror cinema for me, because it's just a bunch of shitty jump scares and like paranormal ripoffs. So when something like Rosemary's Baby can do it right, I fucking love it. Again, because I have that little bit of background behind it. So this is a good place for ratings, perhaps.
Yeah,
which
go
way do
ahead.
you want to go?
I'll start with you. We'll go this way.
With moi.
Yeah.
Before my rating, well, I'll give you my rating first, and I'll give you a little bit why.
Yes, sir.
I really liked it. It's an 8.8 for me.
8.8.
I like how it's just different from every horror. I think Eric is gonna hate me for this. It's not the jump scares. It's
Right.
the psychological horror of this film, right? It's the underlying of, you know, control and power, right? It's the woman not losing her freedom
Yeah.
of what
Of self.
of
Yeah.
self, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the big part about this one, but that's why I give it an 8.8. We'll go
Fair.
into the performances right now and the story, but
Fair.
just that's the horror that I like.
Mr. Young.
How are you guys doing? You guys have a good coffee?
It's great coffee.
Dude, the coffee's great,
This
bro.
DP made the shit out of my coffee.
He made
I'm
the
good,
shit out
bro.
of my
He also
coffee.
got us a very nice, I say us, he got himself a espresso machine and brought it and shared it with us into the
That
office.
is
That's because
true,
you made
man.
him feel bad.
He could have
No.
just sold it double
Why?
in eBay.
I didn't reiterate anything he didn't already say. He was like, I'm going to take it home and tweak it, and then I'll bring it back because my family doesn't want it in the house.
Which one?
And then
That
he
one?
didn't. No, the big one, the white one.
Oh no, that was dope though.
I love it. I said it.
No,
that was
it's
great.
it's really cool. And what happened is that I've been tweaking it and working on it, but like I love it
love
there.
that. I love
And
it.
like also,
Which is valid. I never said, I just
but
like,
you know what? Like there's also having like those same quality drinks here that I'm
Right.
just like it basically came to me one day. I was just like, I just want to be able to have an espresso machine wherever I go so I can make myself good coffee. So then that's what happened. And he got a good grinder for free. And because of that, I'm
Shout out
like,
Chucky
oh,
Chuck.
okay.
He's
Yeah.
gonna pip his ride with a coffee. Fucking.
No, so now
he would. Exhibit, hook me up.
so now I go home, I have a good coffee, I come
Yeah.
here, I have a good coffee, and I
We
just have a
love you
good
for
day.
that, man.
Yeah, we do.
It,
So
this right now was
having-
perfect.
So no,
Having
it's-
great
it's a-
coffee because Rosemary's Baby is actually a Criterion spine. So
That's why I put it in that cup.
Beautiful.
I appreciate it. I haven't bought it. So Christmas ideas, buy me Rosemary's Baby in 4K because
You're
they just
getting
released
slacks.
it. I'm
I
getting
know.
slacks. They just released the 4K. Criterion is releasing
Really?
4Ks now. So yeah.
You know which one? My bad. You know the new Kevin Smith's? I want to see the 430
The
movie.
430 movie. I don't want to
Yeah.
check it out too. It's about young filmmakers. Of course, I want to see it.
Of course.
4:30.
It's called the 430 movie.
It's called the
9:30.
430 movie.
It's called the fucking 430 movie.
By Kevin Smith?
yeah,
Yeah,
he just
yeah.
released it.
I thought he went to rehab.
No,
No,
he had a
he
heart
went to a
attack.
well, that was years ago. He went to a mental institution, like last year in Arizona, nonetheless. Yeah, I just heard him talking about it on Theo Vaughn's podcast. He was on Theo Vaughn's podcast.
I haven't
He was
seen
promoting
that
the film.
I thought like his whole life changed when he had the heart
He
attack.
did. It did. He
But
went
then-
vegan. Yeah, and then basically, I love the way he framed it. I'll just say it really quick because
I
I
love
think it's
Kevin
really
Smith.
cool. He was telling Theo Vaughn that basically when he what happened was he always has the Kevin Smith persona. It's a character he's playing. He feels.
For real?
Kevin Smith, the public Kevin Smith eye.
That's not
and
him?
then he has the kid, the dude who just loves film and hangs out with his kid. So he feels like when he would go switch gears, like he would go into whoever was taking the pilot's seat
Mm-hmm.
in his head. So when he's in public, he's animated, he's up, he's trying to give people what they want. And when he's at home, he's chill. So when he would go back to trying to get back out there was nobody in the pilot seat. That's how he described it. He's like, I would go back to the public eye and there was nobody in the pilot seat.
In what way though? Since the heart attack or
No, just it just happened. It just happened like kind of out of nowhere. And he's like, that started to worry me. So I talked to, I think Jason Muse's wife, who runs his company, Jordan Montserrat or something like that. And she's like, oh, like it's Hollywood. We know a lot of places that can take care of this kind of shit if you want to talk to somebody. And they took him to a mental institution.
Wow.
to
He's good now 'cause
treat
he's
it.
in
He
the
was there.
DOI.
He was there for a few months, and it took a year for him to kind of recover from that state of mind. And now he made the 430 movie because he bought his hometown movie theater. How fucking cool is that? He bought
That
it.
is
It's his
cool.
hometown movie theater, and he has the Smod Castle, which we missed the fucking deadline, man. I'm so pissed because we didn't even see it.
Really?
Smod Castle Film Festival happens every year in his hometown theater.
Oh my god.
Our film would have been perfect for that fucking film festival. Maybe we end it next year with our festival run with that one. But
Yeah.
so he has a festival and it's close to his comic book shop where he grew up. So he's fulfilling childhood dreams. You
That
kidding
is
me?
cool.
But yeah, he's doing good. But the 430 movie is about he shot it in his hometown theater because he owns the fucking
looks
place.
really good, dude.
And
It
it's
looks-
about a bunch of kids who love movies, and then two of them discover I love movies so much that maybe I should be a filmmaker. And they're like, well, we are already filmmakers. We just haven't made a film.
It's our time
And that's
now.
kind of the whole conversation. It's a cool. I mean,
That's
the trailer
really,
looks
really
good. So, 430 movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, rating
8.8. I know.
2.
Oh, saying sup.
Sup?
Give us a rating for Rosemary's Baby.
9.4.
9.4. Wow, that's strong. That's
Yeah, mine's still open because 8.8. First time I watched it. This was your first?
no, you've seen it.
Second,
Okay.
third,
Sometimes.
fourth time.
9.4.
Yeah, but I remember when Austin and I we may have seen it in Dukes' class.
The first time I saw it was at
Dukes.
In Dukes?
Yeah.
So we saw this in the class that we
Not
met
to confuse with
at.
Duke's mayonnaise, but
No, not in the slightest.
I'm
Or
jealous.
Dukes of Hazzard. But we screened it the first time we both had ever screened it was in a class at El Paso Community College with in
jealous.
the class we met.
the best place
That's
to
cool.
start
Best place to start for
and
sure.
finish.
No, that's UTEP.
Anyways, 9.4. That's strong, man.
That's a strong
Any reason behind that before?
It's
Everyone
really
said
good.
no.
It's like I think the way suspense should be played
Oh, that's
in a film.
interesting.
It's very suspenseful. It makes you feel eerie. Like Gassero, when we were watching it, was like, he's like, I don't know what the word is, like, but the score's like annoying me. I was like, makes you feel eerie. Yeah. And he
you
was
feel
like, there you go, that's
uneasy.
the word. Yeah. Makes you feel uneasy.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Almost to the point where turn that off, but it's
They
supposed
tossed
to be doing that.
around that two things you guys should note about the eeriness of it. They tossed around that supposedly Alfred Hitchcock was interested in directing this film.
Really?
I could have seen that.
I mean, he's a master of suspense,
Yeah.
of course. He knows how to do this really well.
Could definitely see that.
But supposedly they had never brought it to him, but he liked the movie a lot. This, and fact check me on this, but I'm fairly certain that I read this correctly. This film is known to be Stanley Kubrick's favorite film of all time.
I could see his weird ass brain.
Yeah, Kubrick loved this fucking film.
Did he say why? Just did he?
No,
Did
I mean, I
he?
don't think
went into,
it
like,
didn't
why?
come from him directly as much as it came from his assistant / brother-in-law, who was he talked about this film all the fucking time. He loved this film so much. This was one of his favorites.
I was very. It's just got so many.
It's got some Kubrick. Yeah, it's very Kubrickian or
Yeah,
vice
yeah.
versa, right? Because Kubrick made films after this, so He loved it. Two of the greats I just named.
9.4.
Yeah, 9.4. Adrian is like the name of Satan's son, right? Like biblically.
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Or
Agent's the son of Satan?
Depends who you follow. It depends who you follow. Like, I mean, most people say Damien, or most people like.
Damien, really?
What did
The
you
son
say?
of Satan? What the hell?
Yeah,
it
like the Omen.
depends on the scripture you believe in. Yeah.
I never heard of Adrian.
America.
proud to be an American.
Mr. DeLaw.
We're gonna send you to the doghouse.
I'm just saying.
I'm just here for the beer.
This was a movie. And
All right, Beetlejuice,
Bro,
get to the fucking
I don't
point.
know much about lighting and cinema, but come on, bro. This was right up your alley.
I don't know about much lighting in cinema either, but I'll say this. Also, I'm going to be
computer.
Beetlejuice for
I
Halloween.
can see that. I
yeah.
appreciate it.
Are you really?
Yeah,
got it down?
Make Bobby an outfit, so like we're going to be Beetlejuice and
Are you gonna do that for
You
a
got the
Halloween
hair?
He's been
episode?
working on his accent.
Yeah.
Is it hair longer or just like that?
No, it's
kinda
longer and it's kind of like,
spiky,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
Spike
like
it up, dude.
poofed out, so
You're
yeah.
gonna have to straighten your hair.
No,
there's a
I'm
man.
going to get a wig, yeah,
Okay.
because I could never pull that off with my hair.
Rosemary's Baby, man.
But God.
First time, long time.
DeLaw.
First time watcher, long time admirer of people who talk about
Yeah.
this film. Let's give it a firm.
I love the suspense.
Firm.
Firm. No wiggle room, no.
No wiggle, no diggle. It's a 9.1.
Wow!
Hey,
Yeah.
okay.
That was my exact rating. I'm at a 9.1.
Don't you be
Yeah.
lying,
No,
Craig.
no, genuinely. Because I expected him to be like at a 7.9, 8.2.
Well, let's
I was
spice it
like,
up.
all right, I think I'm at a 9.1.
Well,
so I was
tell
already.
the people what he said during the movie.
What did you
Me?
say?
Him.
Yeah, we took a break at about halfway so he could tinkle. And while he
Call me out like that,
while
man.
he tinkled,
Men can tinkle.
because you have a
I'm
small
the guy
bladder.
that gets in the middle.
You're the guy that leaves the movie theater in the middle of the fucking
I
film.
gotta pee.
My brother does that shit, so I'm like, dude, you paid money to watch a film.
I tell you pee right
Hold
before
it.
you go in and when you get out.
Bingo.
Well, you want me to tell my body?
No, you tell your body to pee before you go in and after you
I
get
do,
out.
man.
But anyways, I'm sorry.
Anyways,
You wet yourself like a fan of cinema.
Anyways, yeah.
No, I'll say this. Like, I've heard so many people talk about this. My dad loves classic movies, and this is always one that he's like, it's always on his list.
Yeah.
Like, especially for like Halloween and
It's safe to say that your parents are relatively practicing Catholics. Like they're
oh, for sure.
so
Yeah.
that's there
Yeah.
might be something to that also.
Yeah, and that's definitely influenced like my mom, that when she sees films that genuinely scare her,
Yeah.
like hers biggest horror film that she just says, I watched it once and I have to watch it again because I've never overcome that fear, is like The Exorcist.
Of course.
And,
And
the
then
whole
it's their generation.
yeah, it's their generation. So the whole idea of, you know, the devil infiltrating a family and not being able to get past the clutches and all
There's
that kind of stuff.
so much cultural importance to these films because of that.
Yeah.
That's why films like Maxine, if you guys haven't seen Maxine, fucking matter.
I just downloaded it.
Oh my gosh, because of the dad being a priest and that
I'm
being
sorry,
the culture.
you did what now?
Legally off of
Oh, you found it on a digital track.
Yeah, anyways.
yeah.
That culture was brought out. The 1970s, there was a lot of radical Christians who thought the devil was in everything because rock and roll was born.
Well, in '75, The Exorcist came out, right?
70. 1970 was The Exorcist.
No, '73.
Sorry.
I feel like it was
The
1970.
intern fell asleep. Hold on.
73 or '75.
You might be right. But yeah, I mean, The Exorcist,
73.
73?
So it was the one where like
Yeah, and that was well, like a big
Well, the
thing.
cultural
yeah.
significance behind the devil being like a lot of people with Rosemary's Baby were like, you brought the devil back. Literally, that was their thing. Was like, you brought the devil back to society through your movie.
oh shit.
There was a
that-
lot
that-
of radical Christians, and this was 1968, and then you get to The Exorcist, right? 1973,
5 years later.
and it's still going. It created this thing of like the devil is back, and again, rock and roll and fucking bands like Black Sabbath and Led
Or
Zeppelin.
was it
they-
like from Little Nicky and they're like, play Chicago backwards?
Yeah. Oh, dude, this is where that thing was born. The
Sa-
70s was where it was
Sam
really
of-
born from.
Son of
So, like,
Sam and all that.
that generation always fascinates me. Like, when they saw these films live in the fucking movies, like, it's like, oh, the people were walking out. Like,
Man,
and
I wish I
also-
would have been in that era. Just that.
Also,
that
something
fear.
to say, I forgot which maybe you can help me as a historian of cinema, but that
I'll call Tommy.
there's certain rules that basically like if a film was made that was appropriate, it would get the stamp of approval from like the Catholic Church.
Right.
There was a whole era of that.
Well, speaking of Kevin Smith, we talk about this. There was people
dogma.
the dogma movement of like
And he was outside.
he was outside.
I heard the director's such an asshole.
Yeah. But no, genuinely said that there was like 4 Catholic organizations that give you a stamp of approval.
For real? I
And
didn't
it
know
goes
that.
all the way
No,
up to
it's
the
a
Vatican.
Catholic school. For real?
It goes all the way to the Vatican. And the fucking film, like Pope will say, yeah, that's fine, or no, that's
Fine
banned.
for like to
For
be
a
watched.
general
To be
audience,
watched
yeah.
for general. So they basically tell their Catholic, audience
okay.
like, don't watch this, watch this, and for the
wow.
movies that we really don't want you to watch, we're gonna make a stink about it.
Damn.
Yeah, and
The Last
kinda-
Temptation of Christ, Scorsese was banned from Rome for a long time. He was banned from China. The Vatican took a shit all over
I know.
it.
I knew that.
And
got a lot
then
of-
he made Silence, and then all was suddenly forgiven. Like it's a whole thing, man. Like the Catholics really have.
Yeah,
and a part of that history
Power.
is also that I heard films that were made, like horror films or things that involved people dying or supernatural. The whole idea was that you had to make a film that the characters that died or the characters that ended up getting like in trouble or getting hurt, they were always characters that made bad decisions. So then you'd watch a lot of these like older classic like teen horror movies, and the teens that are drinking or the teens that are having
Friday
like
the 13th
like the
heavily.
girls that are more promiscuous.
Campy.
Those are the ones that need to be killed off, and the ones who went home on time and like read the Bible and all that. Those were the ones that they survived at the end and were able to like live to tell the tale.
There's also a weird stigma around the hero's journey, because the hero's journey is your basic foundation for
Yeah.
a story, right? Not just Joseph Campbell, but it goes back to biblical times. I won't get too much into it because you could fucking make a lecture about this. Beowulf. Just go Google Beowulf,
Beowulf.
and you understand that Beowulf is this modern kind of telling of Jesus Christ. And a lot of storytelling, books, cinema, come from the archetype of Beowulf. But Beowulf is just how Christians would package a story so that it looks cool. And it's this cool. It's not about Jesus. It's about a fucking hero
Okay.
who would kill people and survive. It's the Revenant, basically. So, like, again, all of that comes from biblical storytelling. It comes from Jesus lived and Jesus died, and he did amazing things while he was here, but he resurrected on the 3rd day. Like, all of that comes from triumph. Look at The Lion King. Look at just anything. It comes from the Beowulf staple, and literature really started adapting it from Beowulf. Any hero's journey story came from Beowulf, genuinely. And then Joseph Campbell made his own theory on it, right? But
I call cap.
Beowulf, go Google. I remember like learning about this in college, and it blew my fucking mind, because any good story, Shakespeare, anything came from Beowulf. Just go Google it. So Catholics and Christians have they've had their hand on it for centuries, right? So if somebody's telling a story that doesn't have a hero who does well, Mia Farrow's character, the reason why she's so special in this film is because she had a good heart.
Yeah. Performance.
There's nothing, performance, but I mean her character.
Her character was
wanted
good.
a good home and a baby and a good place to bring up that baby. Didn't wish malice on anybody, had good friends, wanted to be a good wife. She was the only good character in that fucking film.
Yeah.
So she was the perfect kind of target. So of course it's the
My bad, dude.
Christian
Yeah.
mentality of
And that's the
they
thing.
don't come home on time. They
When
don't
the
read the Bible.
original films, like 1950s, like cinema that dabbled into or had those whole like stamp of approvals.
Yeah.
Once we started breaking out of that, and you started having movies that were showing like it doesn't matter if you're a good Christian person,
Life's gonna fuck you.
Yeah, you could still get like shafted at the very
Yeah.
end. And I feel like this is a good example of like how it became so much more. There was so much more tension.
Yeah.
Throughout the film, because you always saw this person just trying to do good.
Yeah.
And I think through those positive good actions,
Right.
you related more to her.
Sure, absolutely.
That then
you're rooting for her. Of course, you're rooting for her. You're like,
Yeah.
We joke around about, and we'll talk about it more next episode. But we joke around about like the bitch don't go in the room. Bitch don't go. Castro, you should seen Castro. Castro was like, dude, they're in on it. That motherfucker's in on it.
Yeah.
Don't talk to him. He's in on it.
I
Like,
was trying
Yeah.
to get on. Yeah.
And it's so sad
rooting
because
for her.
the whole time you're rooting for her, and I think that's what the film plays into. Then whenever something gets tossed her way, it's
Yeah.
like, oh
Poor
man,
woman, how
again.
much more can she
Yeah,
take?
exactly, because it's kind of like, oh man, I'm experiencing these heavy pains
Yeah.
and I'm pregnant
Since
and I keep
November.
and I keep telling people
Yeah.
like, oh man, this doesn't feel good, and they're like, that's normal. Stop complaining.
Yeah.
Just take this weird liquid that doesn't make you feel good. It makes you lose a lot of weight. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then she ends up like again getting like sicker and sicker. And then when her friends who are outside of the loop because she's like, oh, I haven't seen these people in years, they like, no, that's not normal. And it's like, what do you mean you're
pregnant? Also, no, this is not.
yeah,
normal.
it's like, what do you mean your doctor like won't let you take normal pills from the like pharmacy that you
Yeah.
have to take some weird herb
Liquid,
concoction?
yeah. By
Like,
the way, the Terran, what was it called? Tas
Terran root.
Oh,
Huh?
the mold,
Terran
the
roots.
little
Terran. Oh, there's an S somewhere in there.
It's a Terran
tannins.
root.
Tannis?
Tannis root.
Uranus.
Tannis is an anagram for Satan.
Oh shoot!
So even in Latin is the big language when it came to transcribing the scrolls that is now the Bible. So like Latin, as Satan with two N's is a classic spelling of Satan, or stuff like that. So Tannis, the Tannis root, the Satan root, that's where that comes from. It's a devil's root.
Wow. Well,
I like
it
little
even says
details.
like throughout like the whole thing, like the witchcraft and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. I think I'll say this, and then we can start talking about it. And I have a big thing to kick off with. It was just really weird watching it, and again, similar to you. It's eerie. You can't explain it all. Even some of like the shots and sequences. To me, I think what this film has going for it that makes it just so good, and there's so much to be inspired from and incorporated in like modern works that we don't see too much, is the way it builds up tension through this like overwhelming state and constantly giving you the perspective of her and what she goes through. You're constantly thrown into the loop of this poor girl who just is asking the world for help and nobody's giving to her. And I love the way it uses like her husband as this way of like, she's just trying to be a good wife and her husband is planning her downfall. She's trying to be a good neighbor and her neighbors are overwhelming her and just absorbing into her life. And in the worst kind of way, she tries telling her doctor, and the doctor's like, you should really listen to your husband and your neighbors. And it's like any person she reaches out to say like, something's up, right? Like this isn't normal. And you're always in her perspective.
You can feel the helplessness.
Yeah,
of
you're
her.
constantly
for
seeing
sure.
where it's just like, even to the very end where she's like in a phone booth and she's like, I'm just trying to call somebody that's not them. Please help. And then when she finally gets the help, the doctor's like, oh, that's the doctor you're going to? Yeah, let me help you out. And then calls the husband, calls the doctor, and they send her
And
back.
he's on
And
it.
oh my God. So yeah, it's just, to me, I think more than anything, I'm just still absorbing it and trying to break down all the ways that this film is putting you in that helpless state.
Yeah.
And I think for the most part, even when we were going through the film, I was surprised we were like halfway through the movie, like when we paused, just because
She'd already been through so much.
you'd already been through so much. Like you're just sitting there and you're like, oh my God, it feels like I've been here for hours just taking these condescending conversations at her, or people not taking her seriously, or you seen the look in people's eyes where they're obviously doing something mischievous, but nobody's being transparent and everybody wants to pretend like it's normal. And
To me, my bad. The most
go ahead.
unsettling character was the husband, right? Because it's that, like I was saying, that underlying, like he's the one that's supposed to be protective of her, right? The main support of her, and
Played by the great John Cassavetes, by the way, which you might know more as a director. John Cassavetes directed like Woman Under the Influence. Like he's fucking terrific.
he's a director.
He's an
too?
amazing director. Yeah.
Oh, wow. But I found his character the most just unsettling, man. Right? He's the one. He's you're supposed to be your better half, right?
And she comes and trusts him with everything because you should. That's her
Up to the
husband.
very
like,
end,
up
you
to the
know?
very end. Like, I'm coming home to tell you about this book that I got from my dead friend who was trying to warn me, and she trusted him. Like it's fucking heavy. He
and
did
also,
amazing.
what an interesting character to play. This guy who he's been told at the very beginning of the film, and I mean, if you rewatch it and you see all of his expressions, it all comes out on his face.
Yeah.
But it's almost like they were told, like, let us impregnate your wife and we'll give you whatever you want. And then he ended up signing that deal. And the whole time you see his character, it's always just like, honey, like I'm getting this role, it's going great and all that kind of stuff. But it all happens from that first moment that it's like, I got a gig because the other actor just straight up woke up blind.
Yeah.
And that's where he's like, I need to go on a walk. Like, just give me a minute. Like, that's like, I almost want to rewatch the film just to see his character going through it, because you also see him going through like, oh shit, this is real. Like, I can genuinely offer the devil, like, you know, my wife and my first child, and I'm gonna get famous. I'm gonna get rich off this.
I
like,
always took that as like an equivalent of like selling your soul to the devil.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I also think
absolutely.
that that's the component that attracted somebody like Roman Polanski or somebody like Paramount to make a film about this, because it's the Hollywood thing, right? It's the Hollywood factor. Like, they know so much more than we do of what goes under the table and
Who's willing to-
and who's willing to do that shit and all that. You know, everybody knows, even now, especially social media is so prevalent, and like what's that rich forest that
The
rich
owl
people
one, right?
under the
Owl
Silver Lake.
Cove.
Right. But even the under the Silver Lake factor, like how much under the Hollywood, how much evil there is under the Hollywood umbrella.
Right.
And I think somebody like Polanski or somebody was like, this is like, we can say something with this, because that's the industry we work in. And look at this piece of shit who's like she even says like, yeah, like you might know my husband from this show or that show. He works a lot on radio and television. He's kind of like me. And like by this time he just got a massive fucking role at the cost of some poor bastard's eyesight. Like, that's Hollywood, baby.
And
like,
every time you hear any updates from his life, again, he has this weird thing where, like, at first, it's almost like, you know, dabbling with something you shouldn't. It's like, I just need to go for a walk. Like, I got a gig. And obviously, he knows, like, there was some conversation that happened, like, hey, just help us here, and we'll get you whatever you need.
Right.
Yeah, we'll make this bastard blind. Like, you know, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then later on, he's just absorbed so much in it where he's just like, okay, yeah, I'll do whatever you need. But then at the very end, when you even see that, like, the wife catches him, he's just in the background in shame. Like, just, I don't want to have to.
I don't want to admit.
Like, I don't want to have to admit that, like, I drugged you and everything. But then later on, he's like, but hey, now that you know, like, right? Like, we're getting everything.
Right. Fun
Isn't
fact.
that good?
Which is the scary part.
Fun-
Like, kicking
yeah,
the
exactly.
nuts.
Yeah.
Just
Fun
immediate
fact,
change.
WatchTower Film Podcast alumni, you guys by any chance recognize the voice of the blind poor bastard?
I heard him in the phone.
No,
When you called
it's
him.
the voice of Tony Curtis.
Tony Curtis.
Tony Curtis.
Wow. Fuck. Who like some like
Some
it
like
hot.
it hot. Some like it hot.
Wow.
I'm not gonna know. This has been so long.
Apparently, Polanski was like, I'm not going to tell her. So just be the voice.
Oh, wow.
And that
Interesting.
genuine reaction of her being like, she didn't know that it was going to be Tony Curtis on the other. Like, he's a very recognizable voice, especially then.
Yeah.
So she was like, the reaction you're seeing of Mia Farrow was like, you know, genuinely, she didn't know who was going to be on the other side
just
of that
has to
phone.
keep
So
going,
it was Tony Curtis's voice.
Wow.
I like when directors do that,
Yeah.
just to see, like, hey.
That's crazy.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, there's just, oh my God, it's a big impact film. There's
Good.
just a lot coming at you. The big thing I wanted to jump into first, because I feel like it's one of those things that in the conversation we'll lose it.
9.1 for me, by the way. Like
yeah,
I said, I
9.1.
my
9.1
rating.
twins.
Big thing. I know that you and Austin were geeking out over the scene and being like, on a second watch, so much more opened up. This, I think, probably what's also making it very enticing to cinephiles, these big dream sequences and then
Yes,
the
you
boat
were.
and everything. So
I've been trying to think.
I've been also, but break it down. Like you and Austin, like the
Dream.
boat, the
Water, you
ocean.
said water was a big
yeah,
deal.
water. Like what?
For me, it was a lot more the neighbors. Like you catch a lot more of those little nuances and like.
Oh, just like their little like mannerisms and
Yeah.
expressions and everything. I started seeing that from the very beginning, and like even when like time would go forward a little bit and remembering their reactions, like you can see it all inkle up. Like when she started talking about, like when she was at the doctor's office, or no, when she was talking to the husband, like I think everybody's in on it and all this stuff is going down. Like you already started feeling it out, but
I'm very. What do you call it? I don't trust people a lot. So in the
Cynical.
beginning, I was like, how are they so trusting with people they just met?
oh, especially like where the
Eating,
husband's
drinking.
like, oh, I got to go back and talk to them, and oh, they're gonna come over, and then
There's
it was already
there's
something going on
theories
there.
that the reason they moved to that specific building was for that. Like the husband was in on it from the get-go.
yeah.
from the get.
From the move, from the jump. You know, he was the one like kind of geeking out about the place. You know, he was the one like, yeah. By the way, a lot of the text, the subtext, I guess, also comes from the building itself. I think they called it the
Bramford?
The Bram. He just got the director or the author of the book just got that because of Bram Stoker. Dracula, the writer of Dracula. So the Bram building, the Bram building.
I like that.
That building, at least the exterior, was actually filmed at the Dakota. Very famous apartment building in New York. Very high society. So if you've watched Only Murders in the Building,
Yeah.
the Dakota.
Oh, wow.
Or, more famously known, the building where John Lennon lived in when he died. He got shot outside the Dakota.
Huh.
That's New York. So, again, high class, high society, rich people. That's the selling point. I'm an actor. I'm here in this fancy New York building. These people are fine. They're just like us. You know, they're old people. Who gives a shit? Turns out that I haven't seen it yet. There's a whole history behind the building even itself to an extent and the people. There's a new series, prequel spinoff of Rosemary's Baby, going to air on Paramount Plus, called Apartment 7A. And the tagline on the poster is, what if Rosemary wasn't the first one?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're old. They could have been
Also-
doing this shit.
Yeah.
And also, you do pick up on that.
or
Well, yeah.
You do pick up on that from the friend that she made downstairs.
The one that committed suicide.
Yeah, the one that committed
Suicide.
suicide. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like, if you think about it, if she started picking up on stuff
Yeah.
and then just one day like killed herself to get away from all
Yeah.
this, because you see Rosemary being pushed to that edge.
Well,
where
there was a thing where basically, obviously they staged her murder, right? But it was one of two things: either she didn't want to cooperate in the
right.
plan against Rosemary, or she didn't want to be the person to get impregnated.
Was she single?
She talked about a husband, I think.
No.
No, she was living with the old couple.
Yeah, she was living with the old couple,
Yeah.
and she
But
was,
why was she living with
she
the old
was an
couple?
Exactly,
easy
yeah,
target
then it's a
because
whole-
also like
So
she just had a family member who's in the Navy, probably like forgot
The brother,
about her.
the brother.
Yeah, the brother.
brother, yeah.
And after that, she's like, I don't really have anybody else.
Yeah.
Like I just kind of have them. So easy target. No one would know her. Nobody would try to fight for her.
But-
again, very.
Okay, so I'm a little bit lost. The devil is the one, or not the husband?
the devil.
So it wasn't like the husband. The devil was inside the husband.
No, the devil.
That was the devil.
That was the devil.
Okay, so that was kind
You
of like
get
confusing
that
me because she was
from
like, "Don't
the
you need the
eyes?
husband?"
The eyes is the big
Yeah.
one, right? The eyes, because she's like, "What did you guys do to the baby's eyes?
Yeah,
you monsters!"
yeah.
And he's like, "It has his father's eyes." That's the big reveal, by the way. At the end, is like the old people are like, "It's Satan who's the father,
Look at
not
the hands,
not
look at the-
guy.
yeah.
Look at the eyes, look at the feet, look at
Yeah.
that." Yeah. So it was the, and then like in the rape scene.
Oh, see, so right now
it's
I
the
thought-
fucking devil, like the
Yeah, and I
nails
did
and the
catch
hands.
that, but I just thought
you
it was
thought
like
it was
a-
more metaphorical, like
Yeah, like
okay,
it's the
that's fair.
husband, but it's the devil
That's
inside.
right. No, it was the actual devil in this kind of situation. Well, I didn't catch that as much on the first screening. I will admit, first screening, I thought it
Yeah, I
was
saw the hands
an
were all
orgy.
weird and
I
shit.
thought it was the
Oh yeah,
Satanists
because you have everybody naked and
right.
they're all there.
So I didn't really catch that. I
The
caught,
what? My bad. The what?
on the first screening. I didn't really catch.
But what did he say? Like
Well,
that
because-
everybody was gonna do? Or what?
No,
That's what I said.
everybody,
I said
everybody's
that,
like
like-
naked in the first. Like if you remember the scene.
But what was their interpretation though? That everybody's naked and
no, it's because
I just thought it was a good time.
I was like,
I
everybody's
said
gonna turn or something. Or
that
what?
on my first screening, I thought it was an orgy, and that's how
Uh-huh.
she got
That's what I
impregnated.
thought I heard.
Yes,
Holy
that's
shit.
what I thought.
No,
That's how
I
she got
think-
impregnated through a ritual, and it is the Satan spawn. But seeing it more and seeing it this time, especially, it's like, oh, it's the actual fucking
actual
devil.
devil.
Yeah, especially
top
like
of her.
I could tell it was the devil doing it only because when they were telling her, "Oh, we need to tie down your hands and feet in
Mm-hmm.
case of convulsions," and even the scratches, it was kind of like
Right.
very indicative
Yeah,
of
yeah,
like
for sure.
something else was with you.
Yeah.
But oh my god, just you feel for this poor girl the whole time.
Absolutely.
And I was
Absolutely.
I even felt for her, and I mean I know it's probably not a very like. It's not a very cool thing to like put in a movie in like our age just because of the culture and all that. But the way that the husband's just very casual, like well, I didn't want to miss out on a day of us having a baby, right? And like that is something that
So heavy, bro.
oh my God. And then
That's wrong in and of itself. And
Exactly.
you can still go more wrong than that.
And like you said, how casual he was about it.
no, and then he's like, I was a bit loaded that night too.
Yeah.
But it's so funny because 2 seconds prior, he's like judging her like, you really got to cut down on your drinking because, he was like, it's before it used to be wine and cocktails. Now it's wine or cocktails.
Yeah.
And then she's like, wait, so what happened? Oh, I kind of screwed around a little. I mean, I had wine and cocktails too. And it's like, Jesus Christ,
That's
man.
the-
Like, oh my
yeah.
God, you're terrible.
Yeah.
You're implorable.
That's why it's not just the horror; it's the psychological horror. Like, yo, that's real. Like, there's people that think that's okay.
I've seen a lot of movies do it. The Shining's an example of just putting the audience in the eyes of this female who's just helpless through it all, and
I mean, we're not that far off. I think if Rosemary's Baby doesn't exist, Hereditary and Midsommar don't exist.
yeah, no,
Or even, The Shining,
and a lot of films. I feel like this one, I can see the influence affect a lot of other films in the way that we show, in the way we create suspense, in the way that we casually introduce a concept like the dresser being in front of a door. It's a very casual scene, but it lingers with the audience.
Yeah, yeah.
And they even say, right, like this 84-year-old woman couldn't possibly have moved this dresser by herself. Like there's a whole thing, and I think
And then
I
you
think
kind of like know, right? Like, there's something behind it, but
I almost
reveal
feel
is
like,
like,
well, no,
holy
but
shit, like,
the tension goes away. You get eased up a little bit because she's put shelves and puts fucking,
But the
she
reveal,
decorates and it's fine. But the reveal through the keyhole. The reveal through the fucking keyhole is amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that reveal almost more than the reveal at the end. Like that reveal of like, oh, this really was a fucking door.
Yeah.
And it comes immediately after she tries to lock everybody out. And we talked about the fucking chain, the safety chain.
And then you see some people walk right. Oh my God! I was like, whoa.
It's so
Very
good,
exciting.
man. It's so good.
It's
That
good.
that
It's- yeah.
keyhole
I
situation
like the
for
one
me
I
really
thought.
got me this screening. Yeah. So many.
Let's touch a little bit
layers.
on Mia Farrow's performance.
Okay.
I like how it was written on paper. Her performance is decent.
Listen, we have to start here, I think, because Mia Farrow is most famously known for Woody Allen pictures. Okay, she was married to Woody Allen. Again, another controversial. What the fuck is it with Mia Farrow and controversy? Mia Farrow was
I
married
saw the
to Woody
documentary.
Allen for most of her life.
Yeah, yeah.
Before she was married to Woody, during the making of this film, you all know who she was married to?
Who?
Frank Sinatra.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Frank Sinatra, the son of a bitch, delivered his divorce papers, served her papers on the making of this film on set. The son of a bitch, because he didn't want her to make this movie.
Really?
He didn't want her to make this movie. Sinatra was like, "It's me or the film, sweetheart. Like, I don't want you to make this fucking movie."
dark, too-
No, it's just he just didn't want her to go away, and she wanted her to be a wife and be at home and not fucking pursue a career. So like, she was like, so Bob Evans comes around and says, "Mia, sweetheart, you do this movie, you get the Oscar." Sold. I'm making this movie. Poor thing didn't even get a fucking nomination, but whatever.
Divorce
Sinatra's
papers.
like, all right, here's divorce papers on set. I want them
On the
delivered on
trailer and
fucking
shit.
set. And then she's reading a biography of Sammy Davis Jr. related to the whole Rat Pack and Sinatra thing. But he was
Yeah.
also a known Satanist. And
He
that's
was?
why that's why she's reading
Sam,
a
I've
fucking.
heard of
He
that.
ended up becoming Jewish, but he ended up like literally like.
At least dabbling with it.
Yeah, but he was a Satanist. So that's part of the reason why. Again,
Hollywood
good little
is
details.
crazy.
But she marries Woody Allen, makes a ton of pictures with him, like The Purple Rose of Cairo, and I mean, she wasn't in Annie Hall. That was Diane Keaton, but she was in one of my favorite Woody Allen pictures is Hannah and Her Sisters. Her performance in Hannah and Her Sisters is fucking amazing. Amazing performance. A midnight sex comedy, a bunch of Woody Allen films. Broadway Danny Rose. She wrote her bones really in Woody Allen films because obviously this film made her famous, right? Super famous. But Woody Allen pictures, and if you watch Woody Allen pictures, they're not this. They're not Rosemary's Baby.
At
so
all.
I want to start there because Mia Farrow's known for this girl next door Woody Allen picture type of girl. She's not built for these roles, but apparently she is. She
did a great job.
I think she did amazing.
Were these pretzels making you thirsty?
These pretzels are making me.
Where's that from?
Seinfeld when Woody Allen's shooting
Oh,
and Kramer gets
Kramer
on.
gets a part on it.
that's right. He gets a line.
No,
He
I
was
was just
saying-
saying, like, the part is really good. I'm just saying, like, I don't want to, what do you
Harp.
guys- I don't want to lower her performance or anything like that. I just think it was a really well script. And she did a good job.
Let me ask because we talked about Kubrick.
The whole process of
we talked about Kubrick. We talked about how Shelley Duvall is just. People mostly deem her as this screaming person, and there's no character. I don't think that's the case here.
No, not at all. This is way more. This is way more.
I know she just died last year too, or this year.
This year.
A
couple of months back.
But again, is that because it sounds like that's what we're getting? Like it sounds like nobody was really all that thrilled with her performance, other than like. She was just a plot device.
No, not at all. No, she does great. I just think it's a great cast, great script, and she just had to do her job. Type of, not that she had to like overdo it or. No, she did her part.
Okay.
It's a great script. I love the whole. She really did portray this. At the beginning, she's this. Barely getting married. She's looking for this apartment.
Do we like that?
And
Because
then we see the skinny, pale transformation of paranoia. Which I really dig.
Tell me that as an actor.
Towards the end, it was just flat. Where it's like,
well, tell me that as an actor. Tell me that as an actor. You're not happy that she didn't overshadow the film.
No, that's
because
what I'm saying.
this role is an overshadowing role. It could very well become.
But I'm not like, dude. How did she?
Really?
No, it's a good role.
It's service.
She did, but it wasn't like.
Do you feel like it fell flat? I would argue that it falls quote unquote flat because by this point of the third act, you're tired of seeing her in this fucking position.
Maybe that. And you're
like, when is this gonna end?
You know what I think it is? I think is that the buildup is so immense. It's so great. You feel like you're at the highest peak when it's like discovering this cult and everything.
Well, I think that I was gonna say the third act really starts when the friend dies, leaves her the book. That's where the third act kicks off, and that's where she starts feeling a little flat. And that's where we're at this
we're just at such a high place that when she opens the door and walks in and sees the cult and she's holding the knife, I think the tension for everybody watching the film is at its peak. That's when we're just like, oh my god, you're face to face with all this.
What's she gonna do?
I'm gonna argue this before we even get to that scene.
Yeah,
because I don't want to jump over the character feeling flat because I think it's important.
At the end, it was just kind of
no, that's fine. That's fine. It's very valid, especially YouTube. This is the first time you see it, but that's how you're feeling. It's important. I think that we need to explore the possibility of feeling extremely disappointed when we think she's onto something and we think she's going to expose or combat or protect her baby at all costs, and then it's like, no, sweetheart, you're too deep in. It doesn't matter what you do at this point. That it just drops it down for us again of like, okay, third act is starting off right. She gets this book. It's giving her more information. She's telling her husband. She's going to a different doctor. And it didn't fucking matter in the end anyways.
Right.
And then we finally get to the door scene. And she has the knife. She's in a position of power to an extent. But is she really? She's got 30 other people around her that want her dead. That she already served her purpose.
Or can stop her, yeah.
Even the husband of this chick.
Guy or which one?
Yeah, no. The husband, the old guy.
Yeah, the son of the
Satanist
cult leader,
whatever.
Was that the guy in white?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
No.
The one who said he's seen the whole world. The husband of the
guy that was dying of cancer, whatever.
My bad, yeah.
Even he's like, you don't have to join. Yeah, I just need you. You better raise the kid than these two old ladies.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like she served her purpose. They could have killed her. It didn't matter anymore.
Okay, let's talk about the ending because the ending. I want you guys' interpretation.
What a great fucking ending, man! Did she just? I'm cheating.
Not give up, but
did
she accept?
Yes, I'm cheating because there's more in the novel.
Okay.
The novel gives you a clear indication of what happens, especially why this look is important. It's important to note.
Because, man, I really felt... Well, I'll give you my take.
Yes.
It's the motherly instinct, right? Like they said.
That's what Austin said.
Okay, go for it.
I think there's a little more to that. The novel is known...
That's deep if you really
be. It is. The novel is known to be one of, if not the most faithful adaptations from book to cinema.
Okay,
Even the author was like, this is the most... And mostly because Roman Polanski had never adapted anything into cinema. He's always had original works. So it's page to page. Like this fucking thing is to the book. Cut out a couple things that really didn't matter, but that ending, the book states, the novel states. In fact, the character in the novel says a line that says, "Well,
sure."
She realizes it's half monster, but after all, it is half mine.
Right.
It is half mine. It is still. I think the motherly instinct is like, sure, it's still your baby. You want to ultimately that.
Right.
But I think there's this ownership factor too.
Like, as much as she is appalled
Yeah.
that she gave birth to the devil, as much as she's
Incarnate.
appalled of that, she's also like, it's my baby. And you know what? I will say that the line that justifies her feeling like it's my baby is when the lady's
rocking him too fast.
Yeah, you're rocking him too fast. And that only comes from her knowing her child.
It is the motherly instinct. It is the motherly instinct. That is the motherly instinct.
First felt it.
It is.
I'm
But
like, why
it-
does
it's
she?
also-
She's carrying right now. Yeah.
So what is she
When
going to
she
do?
was about to-
Abandon the baby? Abandon the baby that, by the way, pregnancy is already hard as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Abandon the baby that I just went through this journey. You just saw this journey of her, of carrying this baby in her stomach and the
Abandon my
pain
boy.
for months. And like, I'm going to abandon the child?
Especially
and it
that
poses so many questions, not just for mothers, but what would you do? Guy's a piece of shit. It's not even his kid. Fuck him. He has no,
Yeah.
you know? But what do you do?
That's what I'm saying, man. That's why I like it so much.
You abandon him? Do you say, I'm done with all that? Do you go kill yourself because you just gave birth to the devil incarnate and it wasn't really your fault, but you knew something was up? In the book, there's a sequel, by the way. There's a fucking sequel.
Okay.
The film sucked.
Oh God, it always does.
The editor of the film,
apologized.
directed the sequel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a TV movie.
Oh, man.
Oh,
They're
oh my
terrible.
God.
And then there was a book called Son of Rosemary, an actual proper
Oh, really?
Realization.
Okay.
right? Because the TV movie was like, what happened to Rosemary's Baby? That's the name of the fucking TV
I
film.
think I even saw it.
Did you actually?
Yeah.
Well, it was terrible. Okay, like what is his name? The kid's name?
It's
Damien?
either gonna be
Andrew?
Andrew grows
or-
up, and he's actually it's just
A normal
stupid. It's
kid.
just it's just whatever. But Son of Rosemary, which the author actually dedicated to Mia Farrow.
Oh, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
The Son of Rosemary basically says, he basically says, like, I wanted this to be a continuation because if she really is going to have to go on raising the child, what then?
What do you mean? What then?
What then? Do you expect for this kid to lash out and have darkness always constantly? Do
Yeah.
you expect a kid to... again, Rosemary's character is the depiction of good.
In what way?
Well, she's innocent.
Yeah, she's still like...
Yeah, she didn't do anything wrong.
She still believes in God. She still
Yes.
believes in faith. She still wants the best. Like, she wants to have a good
Yeah.
Christian home.
So there's that hint of hope in her look. It's not, I don't think it's dark. I don't think it's acceptance. I don't think it's, fuck it, I guess I'm joining this cult. Big. If you can't beat him, join him. You
Yeah,
know?
no,
I
no.
think it's still a baby. It knows nothing of this world. I could still save it.
Yeah.
I could still raise it properly.
That's where it hits
I
me,
could
man.
run away. I could fucking go to the Vatican. In the book, in the sequel, she goes to the Pope and says,
This
is the fucking devil, baby. What should I do? There's a whole story,
that's
but
cool,
again,
that's cool.
again, she takes it that far. At all costs, I will save my baby. I will go to the Pope, the head of the Catholics, the man who should know everything about God,
See what they gotta
and
say
see
about
what
this
they
baby.
can do about this shit, and take the devil out of this guy. But at the same time, it's a weird place to be, right? Well, that conundrum of. But if she raises the baby to 10 years old and up to age 10, he's had half the devil. Well, they're going to remove the devil. Will he be the same kid? You just removed half of the personality trait of the kid that you love, that you raised. There's a weird conundrum behind it,
Yeah,
man. Like
yeah,
that
yeah.
made your kid. If you
And
love him, you love
also,
him.
I feel like
weird.
it's that weird balance of, like, let's say, the other thing, like, I feel like the church would say, we need to kill this baby and we need to, like, bless the
course,
body and,
but
like,
it's her baby.
and yeah, exactly. It's like, you can't just kill a kid because then again, it's like, it's still a kid.
Yeah.
It's like the whole thing of like, would you go back and kill Hitler as a baby?
No, he's a fucking baby. Just raise him right.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah.
You can say yes, but you're gonna be there. And you're like, yo, can I really?
Isn't it a little bit of an allegory too to like parents who think my kid's the worst? Like my kid,
Or the opposite, right?
or the opposite, right? Like my kid's the worst. My fucking kid has the devil in him. What are you gonna do? Abandon him? You're gonna do like put him in an orphanage? Like It's a cool question, man.
It's a good question.
Cool fucking question that this film is posing. Like, if this happened to you and your kid is half devil, what are you gonna do? You gonna chuck it? You chuck it out the window? Hope for the best?
Oh, no, absolutely.
Are you going to abandon it? Are you going to take it to Catholic school? Imagine that kid walking into the threshold of a church for catechism. The fuck?
They
That's
say that-
such a
And
fucked up
catching
image.
fire.
And then catching
Yeah,
fire.
yeah,
Or like
the hose
turning the fucking holy water into piss or whatever. Like, it's just like, what do you do? And by the way, it wouldn't be wrong because it's a kid. It doesn't know any better yet.
Exactly.
It's just being
It's still
sly and it's
innocent.
just
Yeah, it's
being
still
mischievous
innocent.
because it's a kid. It's so good, man. It's so good. And this is why Rosemary's Baby poses great questions.
that's what I
great
thought.
questions.
I'm
And
like,
you
it's-
have to see the journey of her entire pregnancy, her terrible fucking pregnancy.
That's why I didn't
to
mind
get
it.
to the point of like, fuck, man, I feel like I had this kid in my stomach
Yeah.
for 9 months. So
That's
like,
why
what would I do?
I love that it was a slow burner. Like, it
Yeah.
had to be like that. You know?
So good.
Not just jump scares and gore. I love this type of...
But, and to wrap it on the bow of Mia Farrow, I think she did amazing.
She did
In
good.
that.
Yeah.
I think she did amazing to portray the suspense, to portray the angst, to portray the unsettling of what do I do. And again, that scene of the boat. Oh my gosh.
So what does that mean?
Yeah, that's what- yeah,
Well,
you-
because think about it, right?
What's the interpretation?
Let's say you have a little too much to drink,
I got that.
right?
She felt...
You knock out, and it's not just that. It's
Okay.
You can go to sleep, or you can have a cookie and have a shitty dream. And the shitty dream is always these weird contextual things that you're always trying to interpret when you wake up.
Right.
So that doesn't mean you don't wake up feeling like, did I just shit? Was I on the fucking bedboat? No, you think what did that mean? Right? You
Right.
wake up thinking like I was in a boat and all my neighbors and the guy from high school who I haven't talked to in 20 years was there for some reason. You don't think very much of it. You think of it as a dream. You don't question it. You question what the meaning is. You don't question if it ever actually happened.
Yeah, yeah,
So
you try
to
to-
put the scenario and to cut it so extremely well, man, that scene is cut extremely well.
Where it's the mix between a dream world and then the real world, where she even says, "Oh, I'm not dreaming."
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a masterclass of editing. That scene is a masterclass of editing because where it's just a regular dream sequence, but regular. And by the way, I think people who know about this film, and it's kind of in the title, understand that the reveal at the end isn't really that much of a reveal. I would hope. I don't know how you guys felt.
No, yeah, like if anything, you're. I think
You're battling whether.
I don't forgot if you told me the definition of suspense or not, but like being scared is walking in a forest and seeing a bear, and suspense is walking through a forest and never seeing the bear.
Correct.
But knowing one's there. Like
Right.
that's the whole thing. So with us, like the whole dream and everything.
I see where you're going with it.
dictionary definition is a state or feeling of excited or anxious uncertainty about what may happen.
Yeah, and I feel like
Yeah.
what it is that we've seen enough to know the husband's doing something kind of sketchy.
They're all fucking sketchy.
Yeah, they're all sketchy, and we're just like kind of dangers around every corner for her. So
Right.
we're like, what's gonna happen? And that's where suspense comes
So
in.
the dream sequence becomes the film. The dream sequence is the rest of the film. The dream sequence is what's real and what isn't. Is she this bitch crazy or are they crazy? Like, was she on a boat?
Okay.
Was I experiencing this? And then the line, this is really happening. It's so cheesy, right? But it says like, is this really happening?
I
Like,
didn't think it was cheesy. I was like, okay.
it's
I'm-
it's the dream sequence of dream sequences, I think. And again, it's cut so beautifully to where we start out like, oh, she's just tripping out, and of course there was something in the moose, and oh well, she's gonna go into this trippy situation. But it's so vivid. It's so vividly dreamlike, where it's not your typical tripping on acid dose situation. It's like, I don't know about you guys, I've had dreams like that. I start out and I'm still in my bed, and I tell Austin all the time, like, I've dreamt Cardi B in my room.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Migos stream that you had?
Yeah, I took some Mexican medication when I was sick once. And
was
it
a
had,
lollipop.
like some honey. Yeah, it was like a honey lollipop medicated thing. I swear it was. It was like from Dr. Simi, I promise you. And like, I had a, what are they called?
A lucid.
Lucid dream.
Lucid
It's
dream.
lucid dreaming. I think that's like the best depiction
Yes.
of lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's
yeah.
like the best cinematic depiction of lucid dreaming. I've had lucid dreams like that. So like,
where you can't tell what's real and what's fake,
Exactly.
and you're just in this weird in
that's the
between.
fucking picture. The picture
Yeah.
is you're constantly, as an audience member, especially I would assume for the first time, What's real? What isn't? Is she being poisoned? Is the doctor in on it? What's real? Is the friend bringing her the book? The doctor saying, don't read books, don't listen to your friends, what's real? Yeah. Because there's doctors that'll say that today that are organic doctors that don't want you to pay attention to modern medicine. What's real? Yeah. What's the opinion here? I think it's great. So that scene, this screening around, I lost my mind a lot more because I was like, okay, this is where the action happens, but this is the most kind of great, accurate depiction, well-rounded kind of excerpt that tells you what the movie's going to be about.
My bad. I don't mean to go back, but did you guys touch on the religion part because of how she
expresses she's Catholic, right? She expresses that she was raised.
I think, but is that why she really doesn't
she's more naive, maybe, or
exactly,
more
I want to say that the religion factor is just to help the audience connect with her. That's why I was coming off of
not to understand why she's innocent and why she's not calling the cops or calling somebody else. Why she's just, hey, I have faith in what is it called? We've talked about it before, this whole save the cat moment. And part of the whole saving the cat notion is that you need to give these characters something good about them.
Yeah.
And if, let's say, the ultimate antagonist of the film is a satanic cult, the opposite is going to be a person who has faith in their heart and is religious. And I feel like that's where you're making this ultimate dichotomy of who she's fighting against. She's not fighting against, a bad dude who's, a terrible husband. She's fighting against Satan and the devil. Everything she does to protect this child, everything that she's doing to be, a good person... even the whole notion of be good to thy neighbor. She's trying to be open with the neighbor.
That's really
She's trying to share food with them. She's trying to let them into their home.
But she's also very honest.
Yeah.
There comes a point where she even tells the husband don't let her in.
Yeah,
don't let her in this time. Don't let her in this time.
But still, she's nice about it. She's not don't let him in. She's just kind of to herself.
There's even the whole religious thing about respecting your husband and all that kind of stuff, and giving them this ultimate unlimited kind of respect.
I love the love thy neighbor,
or not question.
Aspect of it all. Love thy neighbor.
Because by her trying to do good, that's what gets her in trouble.
Yeah.
Also, I wish we had a female perspective right now because this is possibly the worst horror film for a woman.
Right.
This is probably the worst thing that could happen because look, men, we don't go through pregnancy. If a girl fucks us over, the girl fucks us over, and we hopefully leave that relationship and don't think back about it. But a woman who trusts her husband, who's known him it's a very similar to the Get Out kind of syndrome, right?
Yeah.
You trust a person enough, you're gonna meet their parents, you're gonna go to their childhood home and really start the trusting factor, and then holy shit, she's done this 10 other times.
Or I feel lately I've gotten a lot more perspective on the whole domestic front, where it's such a strain to watch her in this relationship with the guy, seeing where it's he gets annoyed easy when she tries to speak up.
She's very snippy until we find out why, right?
Yeah.
When she's trying to go against the norm, against the plan.
Yeah,
and he has a plan. He's got a motive.
Yeah, no, and it's just you see her for all of her good intention, for her just wanting to raise a good family, he's just kind of hey, I just need you to go and just don't ask too many questions. If I tell you to swallow the pill, you swallow the pill. If I tell you to eat the moose.
But I think about that on the domestic front.
And then also
he doesn't want to eat the moose.
Well, no, but that's the thing. You think about marriage, right?
She's locked in.
Yeah, she's locked in. Exactly. And again, as a guy who's married who talks to his wife about the kid conversation, my wife, we're both babies when we get sick. Okay, so when my wife gets sick and she would suffer from migraines a lot. And she didn't want to, she could ask her, she didn't want to take her pills. She didn't want to do this. She want to do that.
Yeah.
As the husband, you're you need to trust me. This will help you feel better. Just fucking trust me. I promise this will go away if you trust me. So there's that innate husband thing where you just want to protect, right? So
that's the genius of this film.
Yeah. Her character is constantly well, yeah, I married this guy. He brings the bacon home. He gave me a good life. We live in New York.
And you're just hoping that, again, he's going to do the right thing.
Right. You're hoping that but he doesn't.
Yeah,
it's so fucking good, man.
It's good, man. Yeah. Mine probably went up to, I'm with you guys. Triplets, 9.1.
9.1.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I do feel
It's
It's
so many-
definitely a 9, and it's over a 9, just for the sake of there's some movies you watch, and I've talked about it with you guys, where like other ones, if they're not too great, I kind of like lose the plot, and then I get more focused on like the technique and what they were doing.
Yeah.
And this one, even in the conversations, like a lot of times that I would go like quiet, it was just trying to listen to them, but it became stressful. Like when you're hearing so many different conversations at once, and very much her character almost not being able to latch on to anybody because everybody's talking fast and just trying to get her to like
To agree.
just get her to agree. It's this quick like,
No.
oh well, you know, everybody
Suffocating.
feels sick the first couple of months, and
And
oh
who
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
want your neighbor to take care of you? Oh, I'm pregnant, and well, here, drink this juice. This will help you.
Yeah.
Drink this.
Oh,
thing,
we're gonna
Michael.
get you the best
We'll get
doctor.
you the
What? He's the best doctor. Like, look at how much he charges. Like, why are you
I hope
questioning
this
it?
doesn't make us more of a cynic because it's just.
I am, bro.
But it'll
especially-
make you more of like, yeah, fuck that. I'm
No,
moving
it
into a
makes-
building I ain't trusted fucking nobody.
At least for a while, you know.
I will say, do you feel like somebody posted something recently? Shout out to Francis. Francis posted a video of Roger Ebert talking about to Charlie Rose, and like Charlie Rose is kind of being an asshole because like Roger Ebert is like, cinema is the most powerful art form. You don't understand. Like, and he's like, oh yeah, you're so passionate about movies, Charlie Rose. And he's like, no, you don't understand.
Yeah.
I have an out of body experience anytime I watch a great film, because what films allow you to do is to be empaths. You go into other people's lives.
Yeah.
That's what cinema allows you to do. And Charlie Rose is like, you've seen too many movies.
My
Rick."
God.
And Roger Ebert's like, no, you've done. Everybody who's seen a movie that they love, you're living vicariously. And this film, Rosemary's Baby, is like a fucking eerie, vicarious, out of body experience. It just
You know
is.
what?
And I'm not a fucking pregnant woman.
No, but you know what? I'll add on to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for people who want the very, very minor cinematography perspective,
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. Did you find the shots like too?
I'll say this. Early on, I
It's
was
like
really
if Hal Ashby made a horror film.
no, hell no.
Come on.
Anyway, that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
But I'll say this: as far as techniques and merit, and for people who are looking to how do I intentionality with horror, intentionality with suspense. When do I add these shots? When because with this one, there's no jump scares. There wasn't a time that I was
No.
really like jump scared,
No, you're
but
right.
the whole time you're really fearful. And I think people who are saying like, if I just make a movie look really dark and then something bright pops out, and even if it's safe, it pops out and that scares people, aren't I doing a good job? And it's like,
Didn't
no,
you
kid.
say, were you the one that
Intentionality,
said, or
like
you
you
just
said.
learned the technique, or we
It's
talked about
heavier
it?
with intentionality.
I feel like it was in the festival where somebody talked about it, where if you want to make a horror film, you start dark and then bring light in,
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
I did hear
stop
that.
at the light
I hear
being
that.
that you feel you want to contextually talk about. If you want to make a rom-com, you start as bright as you possibly can and then start taking light away.
I
and
think
then
it
you
was
get,
Raul that said
Was it
that.
Raul?
I heard
I mean,
so, yeah.
it's an interesting kind of take,
Yeah.
right? Where in this scenario, it's neither. It's life. It's
Yeah.
I'm gonna light for this couple moving into an apartment. Other than like the sex scene and the last scene, there's
No, yeah.
no dark, grim lighting.
It's very real.
Yeah,
it's
very real.
But, and here's where intentionality is important.
Yeah.
When it comes to composition, I think we can talk about that. Composition is extremely tight in this film. If you look
Absolutely.
and that's why
That's why her eyes are big.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why her eyes are popping out of her fucking head. And
That's
most
why
of
I
the
was so
scenes.
tripped out at the beginning sequences, because when you look at the movie, there's these low angle shots that they're awkward. As for somebody watching films for their like compositions and cinematography, they're really awkward. Where you're just low down and you don't know whose perspective it's supposed to be. And one thing they also do with these low angle shots, they cut off the ceiling. So it's like, are these just these infinitely high rooms? And then they're walking through them and it feels open and it's this weird thing. But I think it kind of goes back to one, you almost feel like somebody's like, especially like an apartment, like somebody's creeping through the floorboards and looking at you. And two,
It's part of the reason why her going to the phone booth is a big deal, right? It's a
Yeah.
big scene because
Why?
she feels like everybody's in on it.
yeah,
Everybody's
even
listening.
the guy listening the guy sitting by her, you know.
Yeah,
on
the guy
phone
that just
booth.
randomly.
By the
puts-
way, fun fact: that was the producer of the film,
Oh, really?
Walter Castle. Or
What a
Walter
creep.
Castle, yeah.
What a creep.
No, but like I feel like those low angle shots were just very uncomfortable. And then, you know, again, they're very tight shots. So you don't see the floor, you don't see the ceiling. There's this infinite depth kind of thing. But then also on top of that, you're very much thrown into their reactions and this sense of claustrophobia of like people are right around the corner. Like whenever two people are in a frame together, if you look at these really tight shots, it's almost uncomfortable because you can't walk around them. There's not enough room in the space where you can get away from them. They're always super close, especially when the neighbors are over. They're just right next to you. And it's very, like when she describes like, oh, how are the neighbors? It's like, they're just very nosy and they're just, they're getting into everybody's business and they're like a little too nice. In all the shots and everything, you feel what she's feeling. You're feeling the sense of like they're just too nice. Absolutely. They're right next to you. They're on you. They're breathing on you. And then on top of that, a lot of, I think, young cinematographers would look at a horror script or like a horror film and think, I want it to feel uneasy. I want it all to feel uncomfortable and uneasy. And one of the best ways you can do that is add these movements, camera shake, going handheld for a lot of the shots.
I love handheld, especially in situations.
Now, it was a choice that stemmed from the French New Wave and avant-garde cinema.
Yeah.
Because, by the way, like for instance, when she's crossing the street and there's a bunch of fucking like cars that are about to hit her, like, that was not planned.
What the
Polanski said, nobody's going to hit a pregnant woman. Just cross the street. And I will operate the camera because nobody else wants to. He's opping the camera. She's crossing the street.
That's taking way too much risk.
Permits. There's no permission. There's no closing the streries. But Mia Farrow's walking in the middle of the fucking street about to get hit by a car. And Polanski's holding the camera. And he knows exactly what he wants to get out of this. I mean,
well, I'm just going to add into it. Intentionality is super, super key. Not every shot in this film is handheld, and not every shot needed to be handheld.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But the times that it is handheld, and the times that it's tight and it's uncomfortable, it's just enough, especially at the top of the film, it's just enough for the audience to feel like everything that's going on around them is real. And that's the best thing you can do with a handheld shot is make sure that the audience feels like everything that's happening in the room is real. That's why with handheld shots, they're so you don't know where they're gonna go next. Like they could be following you straight, but then like when they're showing off the apartment, what if this guy turns a corner? Well, guess what? If you move the camera, it's a new corner, it's a new space, it's a new perspective, and that's how life works.
It's a mouse hunt.
Yeah.
This film is a mouse hunt, right? And the camera movements really takes you to this.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, that corner,
Right.
Yeah.
I'll throw this in there also because it goes hand in hand with cinematography. Production design. The production design in this film, Richard Silbert. Richard Silbert, known for Chinatown and other Polanski films, did The Graduate. Was a production designer on The Graduate. Was production designer on, almost more importantly, in context to this film, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf is like if Rosemary's Baby meets Scenes Out of a Marriage meets fucking Psycho.
What?
That character, it makes you feel so uneasy, this fucking picture, man. But it's not really a horror film. It's real. It's set in reality. It's set in the home. It's, again, the production design of that. And then you start realizing the production design is setting real situations and designing for real kind of context, so that when you get to something like Chinatown, which is a straight up noir picture,
love it.
It doesn't feel noir for the sake of being noir. It feels real. It feels like a real detective. Jake feels like a fucking detective. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It feels like my neighbor who happens to be a detective, because you see him in his space and you see candles on the walls and you see a home. So I think Rosemary's Baby, there's a whole montage of her making her house a home.
Yeah.
Which is the antithesis. You know, what does that mean? In terms of her being a mom, a nesting process. She's pregnant. She wants to build a home. She's putting carpet and rugs. She's nesting, only to realize that this apartment stems from evil and it will be used as a antithesis. It's the antithesis of
the core embodiment of something.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, the opposite embodiment of something.
No, the antithesis.
Well, I mean, Yes, the antithesis.
That's what I'm saying.
Isn't that like a plant thing?
Oh, flower.
Told you.
The
Oh no, that's photosynthesis.
dictionary, I can't see because there's a camera in the middle, but
The flowering period of a plant from the opening
it's
of
the
Maximum
core,
of self, yes.
whatever. It's the antithesis of her being. It's her home. She's a wife
Right.
and a mother trying to build a home, right? Only to know that this is gonna breed bad. These walls, this ground has bred bad, and probably before her time. So I think the art design, the production design, makes you feel like almost worse, right? Because you think it's this wholesome couple moving into an apartment building, being happy, young, and want to have a baby and a family, and he's doing good in his job. And no, it's fucking moot because she's gonna have a fucking demon baby. There will be no happy ending for her. This home is gone. Her husband's a piece of shit. It might as well be in flames. And there's a fucking frame when she finally goes to the back of the apartment, of the devil apartment, of the building being in flames. How much of an allegory is that to like what's happening in the film?
Oh, and like something cool if you're like into art is there's also a Francisco Goya painting.
Yeah.
He famously had. Can you look up "Flight of the Witches" by Francisco Goya? Fun fact about the artist, and I've mentioned it before. He basically was this Dutch painter. Went to Spain. But after a while, like of doing all these beauty portraits, and he studied like painting for these visual aesthetics, and basically creating like beauty. Like he would paint you and make everybody look like these porcelain dolls. Well, what happened is that one day he went deaf, and when he went deaf, he basically just his mind started rotting. Like he started seeing the worst of society. He started seeing. It was also during the time of the Spanish Civil War, so he was seeing what is it called, like people suffering more. He couldn't hear the joy, so he made what they call the Black Series, which was this series of paintings
I've seen
where,
it, like,
where
from when he
basically
started to lose it.
Yeah, he basically did these paintings inside of a home, and they weren't seen until after he died. Like they were almost made for no one.
I love
but
that.
they were these images of witches and using like religious like regalia for their ceremonies and things dying and Satan kind of breeding through people. And there's a Francisco Goya painting. I forgot which one it was. It's not this one,
We'll
but
try to
I know which
post
one
it
you're
on
talking
the-
about. It's actually
on the poster, but you guys can Google
the
it.
inspiration for this man in Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah.
the
It's,
hands guy?
Yeah, it's Saturn devouring his son.
no, that wasn't the painting in the movie. But I know.
No, I
that-
understand, but I mean that's part of the Black Series.
Oh yeah, that's part of the
Oh,
Black
really?
Series.
Wow.
That one's
Right.
really famous. Yeah.
That's probably his most famous.
Oh,
of
that was
series.
Cooper in the latest picture.
Oh,
I
the
took.
dog recreating the.
Yeah, I was recreating that. But yeah, anyway.
What? Really?
Yeah, I put up a photo recently.
Yeah.
It's a dog looking sad. But yeah, but anyway, in a lot of the Black Series, it was a lot of images of witches and
Yeah.
Satan coming out through society.
I feel like the only other comparable thing to that is who did the Divine Comedy?
Dante?
Dante's Inferno.
Yeah.
It wasn't Picasso. Was it Picasso? Might have been Picasso.
No.
They did a whole series on Dante's Inferno.
Oh, it was
Paintings.
Dali. Dali.
Yeah,
Salvador Dali.
Salvador Dali did a whole fucking series on
Deep
Dante's
dive.
Inferno. Deep dive in paintings. It
Did
was
you know
actually
that
at the El Paso Museum of
I
Art
was
for a
about to
long
say.
time.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
interesting as hell.
Botticelli, but was it Dali?
Yes, it was Salvador Dali. And that's what makes it so interesting because as a surrealist painter,
Yeah, right.
going and tackling something like, you
Yeah.
know, the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's vivid, man. His shit. Well, if you've read the Divine Comedy, more specifically Dante's Inferno,
I played the game.
it's a poem.
No,
It's a poem.
game sucked ass. No, I'm kidding.
I feel like it was Botticelli, the one I'm thinking about. No, it might have been. You might be right. It was Dali. Well, whatever. The point is, comparably, that shows you hell. Like,
Yeah.
but
The whole
Goya.
Goya.
The big thing
Goya.
about him is evil permeating through society.
person.
Like it
Yeah,
basically comes from the roots and grows up,
Yeah.
and that's how it like affects people.
Where
Dolly was or
the
whoever-
afterlife.
Yeah, was this more
the
the
seven levels of
separation?
hell? Yeah.
God,
I'm so into that. That's cool.
yeah, I get hard. I think of.
Tell us what you think about Rosemary's
Whoa.
Baby. I think we all agree that our ratings either stay at a high level or go higher.
9.1.
9.1, 9.1, 9.1, and 9.4.
I think it's a great way to kick off Spoopy Month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because
also,
we're gonna target
Perfect.
very specific films, very curated films, because not only I think this is a good start
Oh no, mine's definitely gonna change. So don't worry about mine.
because we're going into Hereditary
more?
next. No, not Hereditary next. Evil Dead next. We're doing Evil Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Evil Dead is
Sanchez.
Austin / Eric's pick. He gives Eric's pick every Halloween. Eric his pick every Halloween. And Evil Dead is.
I think it goes on the spectrum of horror films that are leaning heavy into the genre.
Yeah, it is a very much a genre picture, I would say, but it's I don't know, a
not a
slasher.
slasher?
It's
They
not
call
this.
it a splatter film.
Possession.
Splatter.
Type of-
It's not. No, I wouldn't say possession. It's not Rosemary's Baby. Let's just put it that way. But I think this is a good kickoff because after Evil Dead, which is just almost more of a funner kind of take, I would say. So no,
Yeah,
I haven't. I also
haven't
haven't
seen
seen
it.
it in a very long time.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But after that, we're getting into Hereditary.
Hereditary
Which
is
I
very
think Rosemary's
inspired by.
Baby is very
Yeah,
much inspired
for sure.
by. I even would put Midsummer there more just because of the whole.
No, for the opening sequence of Hereditary, just because it shows the treehouse,
The treehouse, yeah.
and the lingerings there. I trust me.
Naked people.
I saw the similarities
Absolutely.
instantly. So
No, but I mean, dude, like the cult factor. In,
Oh, yeah.
in Midsummer. Well, I mean, both of them have it, but
Yeah.
in Midsummer, the cult
well,
factor.
what about the cult
in
factor in Hereditary?
I just said that. I understand that there's a cult factor in Hereditary, but it's not very much explored.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Not
Yes, it
even on this
is.
film either.
No, it's not. It's,
as much
you
as
see it in the
Midsommar.
opening scene and you see it in the closing scene.
No, dude.
Yes.
No.
What do you mean
There's-
no?
Like the whole thing with Hereditary is that there's always this inkling that there's like a group around and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that's
We'll talk about it.
Not
We'll talk about it. No, but
But I'm with you.
Midsummer, you're thrust into the cult.
But
Literally.
that's too much.
Literally.
But that's too much. Not like
No, but
Rosemary. It's very
both
subtle.
of them are
Yeah.
very inspired from Rosemary's Baby.
Regardless,
you
we're going
can-
to talk about Hereditary. I think this is going to be a great conversation. I think it's
And-
going to launch us into what we call woke horror, what we call
Elevated horror.
elevated horror. And
I've never
no,
heard that. Woke.
but it's Ari Aster becoming one of the most
Oh yeah.
prominent auteurs of our generation.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be great.
Yeah.
After that, we're going to be getting into Castro's pick, which I don't
28
know
days.
if
Nah,
you've
yeah,
picked
that's-
quite yet.
28 maybes?
I'm trying to convince him to do Night of the
Man,
Living
it's 'cause
Dead.
I
But
see films like you guys show me Rosemary's Baby, and it's like
well, you show us something you really feel passionate about.
I thought we were gonna
for
talk
no,
about
this one, Dawn of the Dead is just a really cool film that I really like. There's no
That's
I think
fine.
it's cool.
horror. There's no cycle. It's just zombies.
Dude, no, because I feel like it's through the whole gambit. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I also
Yeah.
think that
It's fair.
one thing we didn't do this episode, but we've done for previous episodes, is rated as a scary film, like a horror film, and as like a film. And
Have we actually done that?
we have done that
For horror?
Yeah, because I feel like when we talked about Nosferatu last year,
Right.
there's a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
horror elements that are there that it makes it genuinely scary. You're uncomfortable when you watch it,
And then what it
but then
contributed.
as a piece of cinema, like
Exactly.
it really inspired things like how much angles will affect things, how
Yeah.
much colors will affect things, how much lingering on reactions and not needing these big jump scares, but just things that make you feel unsettled. And
Dude, man.
I'm trying to think of one that
The fucking Ari Aster. The last look of Rosemary's Baby. Think about the last scenes in Hereditary and Midsummer.
I bet summer's been a while. I just watched
It's
it.
her accepting her place in the kingdom as the queen of the cult.
Ah,
And that shift from worry to smile.
to
And Hereditary, Alex Wolff's character.
yeah, accepting.
oh yeah, that one's
Dude, it's Rosemary's Baby. Okay, sorry. I agree. I think we're going to run the gambit. I think we're going to get into some fun shit. So
Yeah,
if you want to do Dawn of the
absolutely.
Dead, I'd say Night of the Living Dead. If you want to go into the origins,
Stop it, you're
but that's
scaring
just my love for
Night
that.
of the Living Dead?
I love
I'll
that.
flirt
But
with it.
no, I'm just saying because Romero is credited as being the writer for Dawn of the Dead too. I think it just stems from
And just the
I've
sheer
also-
scale of Dawn of the Dead is just Zack Snyder. You know, it's a big film.
That's true.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
It's
We're
a
running
world.
the
It's a
gamut.
world
So
in a-
maybe Dawn of the Dead.
But maybe
Evil
not.
Dead, Hereditary, Dawn of the Dead. Those are the next 3 films we're doing. And then we're getting into War Month after that in November. So let us know if there's another film you guys want us to cover that we didn't for Halloween, for Spooky Month.
Spoopy.
And let us know what you guys think about Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah,
and your
absolutely.
thoughts on it, or your interpretations, because this film could be interpreted a million different ways.
And I will say, it's a great film. I know that they showed it to you guys in your class, but we haven't talked about it too much. But I think there's a lot of people that look at like older films and older cinema and think it's not scary anymore, or it doesn't do anything for me anymore. And when you watch these, you'll instantly see
Yeah.
like how
How effective.
That's exactly how I feel. I haven't been this not scared, but just
Uncomfortable?
uncomfortable watching
Yeah.
a horror film.
I think
No.
a lot of people feel like, oh no, what they're making today, that's really scary, or that's really unsettling, or even psychological
the
horror.
past ones don't
but
hold up.
but you watch something like this,
Yes.
which inspired what's being made today that people are ramping and raving about.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
it is the origins of that, and I think honestly has
the
so much
origins.
more.
It's where cinema started taking risks
Yeah.
again.
It's where the genre started taking risk, and where the genre felt like it could explore. Like if somebody saw something like Rosemary's Baby today and it was just freshly made, they would call it elevated horror and say, it's breaking the genre and it's
Yeah.
doing all this stuff differently. And it's like, no, it
There
came
was a
from.
time. There was a time in cinema where people felt like nothing good was happening.
Yeah.
And things were so fucking pale and boring, and they weren't saying anything. And it feels like between Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist, it sparked up the originality factor.
Yeah,
again. It
no,
sparked
like-
up the conversation of real topics packaged into this non quote unquote real thing, and but it makes
Because
it feel real.
If you think about it, like there was a time when like dinosaurs were fucking real.
Must have been scary as shit.
But also, I feel like we're reliving that era. I feel like
That
we're so
dinosaurs.
bored in cinema, and like nothing original's coming out because of streaming and oversaturating the market. And then again, guys like Robert Eggers or Ari Aster come around, and it's like, no, you can still do good shit. Right now, the best cinema is living in horror. Right now, we're reliving that era where horror is kind of saving our ass again for original storytellers.
What about that romantic film we just saw at the film festival? Uncredited.
I'm not saying anything.
Dare
Oh,
to
you
say
mean
the
so? Who was
title.
it this time? I know. What a piece of shit. Thank you for tuning into the WatchTower Film
Yes!
Podcast. Let us know what you want to see next. Make sure to like and subscribe. Tell your friends.
Love you guys.
Get
Good night.
spooky.
Oh, I'm gonna say something like that.